found it fascinating today, confirmation from the Federal Health Minister, Greg Hunt, early this afternoon that 1,000 additional Defence Force personnel are now on their way to Victoria. I've been critical, I think a lot of people have, of the Premier knocking back Army support a little earlier on, but clearly he's taking it up now. What sort of signal does that send to you? You're a long-time observer. Do you think things are worsening in Victoria and he's woken up to the political reality that he has to take everything he can to try and get this outbreak under control?
Well, I think having watched some leaders over many years, I think what's happening with Daniel Andrews is that he's actually admitting he's made a mistake. He's not saying it, he's passing out various excuses and human error and all the rest of the stuff. But what he's clearly doing is finally accepting help from the ADF, which was offered to him a long time ago. Now, this latest 1,000 was actually offered to him by Scott Morrison on Saturday. He accepted that, and he's now going to have 1,350 ADF personnel helping Victoria Police and health authorities in Victoria. He should have accepted the offer much earlier. Well, we have seen is a failure by the Victorian government in the implementation of the quarantine restrictions, and then the follow-up. So what we've actually seen here is a final acceptance. Perhaps, yes, we have to wear masks now, by Daniel Andrews, that things have gone pear-shaped, that Victorian police and Victorian health authorities and the Victorian government are responsible, and he's now trying to do whatever he can to contain what is a dangerous outbreak to the rest of Australia and obviously to Victorians.
If masks mean that we can get back to normal faster, I have no issue with the mask at all. It's not, I don't think, the same political debate that we're seeing in the United States about, Republicans not wearing masks and Democrats are in broad terms. But business is saying we can't afford to do what Victoria is doing right around the country. We can't go backwards, they're saying, and they want National Cabinet to have some protocols, really firm stage protocols about reopening the economy. The Australian Industry Group Chief Executive, you'll know him well, Innes Willox, says we can't keep taking a sledgehammer to our economy time and time again and expect businesses to survive, consumer confidence to remain above the waterline and jobs to be retained and created. Do we need a better plan, Dennis?
Well, I think we need a more consistent plan. What we have to do is this outbreak in Victoria, okay, there was always going to be an outbreak. We had become complacent because we thought the numbers had got so low. We had been so successful in the use of social distancing. Quarantine had actually saved us an enormous amount of trouble from overseas. Most of the cases were imported. We were doing very well. Of course, the borders had to reopen. The economy has to open. And if we have to wear masks, well, we have to wear masks. But the point is that the economy can't remain shut. And what we are seeing coming out of Victoria is a larger example of what we saw in Tasmania. There was an outbreak in northwestern Tasmania. It was closed down and dealt with successfully. Clearly, this outbreak is much worse, but what is happening is that we are actually having to live with the virus, and let's hope there will be a vaccine, maybe from Queensland, great news, but the point is we are going to have to learn to live with the virus, learn to live with cases, and learn how to manage while we open the economy and open businesses. Business can't afford to continue to go with closures, stop-starts, border reopenings, border closings, and nor can the federal government, and that is the federal taxpayer, afford to continue to pay these hundreds of billions of dollars to try and keep people in work. We are going to have to learn, as has been the case in other countries, Singapore, South Korea, where there were outbreaks, secondary outbreaks. We're going to have to learn to live with that and work the economy effectively while we all continue. If we have to wear a mask and a symbol of having to work, and as I think Donald Trump has finally accepted that, yes, he's got to wear a mask, well, that's a small price to pay for reopening the economy and trying to maintain business and jobs.
All right, I've got to ask you about Hagia Sophia. I talked about it in my editorial tonight. This is it was a church Then it was a mosque. For a long time it's been a museum. This was all done under the secular Muslim president, the first president of the Republic of Turkey, obviously Ataturk. The current president, Tayyip Erdogan, has turned it basically over the weekend back into a mosque. It's now completely shut down to be reconverted. Let's have a listen. There's been criticism around the world.
Il pensiero a Istanbul. Penso Santa Sofia e sono molto addolorato.
I'm keen for your thoughts on this. I don't see it so much about this immediate religious issue, so much as a pattern of behaviour from the president for some time, Dennis.
Yes, I think that the Hagia Sophia should remain as it is. It should remain as a museum and a representation of both religions, both Christian and Islamic. It has survived for 90 years now after Kemal Atatürk very wisely, as part of the secularization of Turkey and the modernization of Turkey, turned what was for a long time the largest Christian church in the world, and then became a mosque, and then he turned it into a museum. It was a symbol, not just of the modernization of Turkey, it was also a symbol of the tolerance of Islam demonstrated by Kemal Atatürk, a great leader of Turkey. And I think that this is a betrayal of that symbol of tolerance, and it is an act of intolerance, and it is also robbing the world of a great cultural heritage site. It belongs to the world, not just to Turkey. And yes, they have their rights to do various domestic changes and laws and so on, but this will never be the same. It will become like the Blue Mosque, a fantastic mosque, a beautiful mosque just up the road, and it is open to tourists who can walk through, but not like the Hagia Sophia, which is open to all. It does not require a great deal of distancing and respect and so forth within it. It is much more secular, and it demonstrates what modern Turkey was about under Kemal Atatürk. And this is a loss to the world, not to mention for some of the poor commercial operators and tourism operators in Istanbul who make a fortune out of the tourism attracted to Hagia Sophia, which is a great spiritual but also a great cultural image for the world.